Welcome to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bob Pompeani along with Chris Hoke as we are bringing you Steelers Extra Point, brought to you by Ford. And this is not the kind of game the Steelers wanted to do. They wanted to take care of business today, Chris Hoke, and with a win they could have done that, and it looked like they were in position, but mistakes were the name of the game. Russell Wilson, who I thought at times made some really tremendous plays in this game, also was really victim of the two turnovers that cost them. The one at the goal line, then the interception, pick six, which was a bad throw right after Minkah Fitzpatrick had taken the ball away. I thought the interception was actually worse. I realized that fumble at the goal or at the 5-yard line was tough, but he was trying to make something happen. Yes, he got a little greedy, but that interception took the wind right out of their sails.
It was huge. The Steelers defense did what it always does, right? It created a turnover, put the ball back in the offense's hands with a one-score deficit to go down and score and try to tie it up. 2 plays later, he makes the worst throw I think he's thrown as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and intercepted by Marlon Humphreys, taken back to the house, and really put the game out of reach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And just uncharacteristic of the type of throws that Russell Wilson has made. But in this game, you're right, Bob, he played well largely for the whole game except for those 2 plays I thought really were ones. Really, they were the difference in this game.
But while the fumble happened, and it was critical at the time because it would have resulted, it looked like, for a Steelers touchdown that drive, the defense then promptly gave up a 96-yard touchdown drive. And to me, that was as critical as anything else in this game. Anytime you have a chance to score and then you don't, and then the other team comes right back, now you're talking about a 14-point swing, and it just really changed the direction of the game. So, yes, that fumble was big, but the defense didn't help out because they just gave up a 96-yard drive.
And here's the deal, right? I mean, you're number 1 in the NFL, tied with the Bills with plus 18 turnover ratio, and you go down and you turn the ball over, which you very rarely do, and then your defense is best in the NFL in terms of not giving up points after a ball is turned over by your offense. They give up a 96-yard drive methodically down the field, and really that was a 14-point swing because the Steelers probably would have scored a touchdown there down the 4-yard line. Just a dagger right there in the first half.
Yeah, one other dagger was Derrick Henry, and he was doing what they brought him there to do. He came into this game with over 1,400 yards. He had 162 or so in the run game, plus some passing yards as well. It seemed like they were targeting the middle of the field, maybe in particular Patrick Queen, because that's where he resides, and the middle of the field was vacated quite a bit. I thought the offensive line of Baltimore did a very good job as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see really the breakdown of where his runs went, but it seemed to me, Bob, like you said, they were trying to run between the tackles to attack those middle linebackers, and they knew they were without Larry Ogunjobi, and it made a lot of also yardage in that nickel defense. Really, when you pull out a nose tackle and you have one less defensive lineman and getting after those linebackers, and there were times where guys weren't in their gaps. There were just times where flat out the Baltimore Ravens leaned on the Steelers and got movement and stole their grass. And so a little bit of both, but the Steelers got to understand that in a game like this against a good running football team, you've got to stand up. If you let them run the football, then they're going to come back and start throwing the ball down the field like they did to Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and the rest of the team.
Yeah, and they lost Justice Hill, who had a concussion in this game, taking a hit from DeMonte KZ, and that was a tough loss for them because he's very critical to their passing game out of the backfield, but yet they have a lot of weapons. And, this loss now means the Steelers are tied with the Ravens, 10 wins, 5 losses, 2 games left. The Steelers control their destiny if they should win the final 2, and they got Kansas City, as you know, on Christmas Day, a game you will watch on KDKA TV, no Netflix, no problem. We got you covered there. But the Chiefs are 14-1, and then after that it would be Cincinnati at home. Meanwhile, Baltimore has the Texans also on Christmas Day, and then the Browns.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's what they did, right? They had the Texans and the Chiefs play today, and the Steelers and the Ravens, and they both turn around and flip. They both play in 5 days on Christmas Day. And so it's going to be an exciting finish to the season because the Steelers right now, really, this is really a situation we did not want them in, losing 2 of possibly 3 big, difficult games. And so let's see what happens next week.
All right, we got you covered with Mike Tomlin's press conference coming up, player interviews, and then your phone calls as you look at M&T Bank Stadium, which was lit up, and so was the Ravens offense. 34-17, they win this game to even the Steelers at 10 wins, 5 losses. Reaction next right here on KDKA+.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the best-selling truck in Pittsburgh.
Welcome back, Bob Pompeani. Chris Hoke in the studio following a 17-point loss, Steelers at the hands of the Ravens. Let's take a look at the scoring summary as we wait for Mike Tomlin to get to the podium. Again, this started out like Baltimore was going to just have their way, and they did early on. Isaiah Likely, 9-yard touchdown catch, 7-0. Then Pruitt came back and a nice response drive by the Steelers. He gets one in the back of the end zone to tie it up. However, Rashad Bateman, 14-yard score, corner of the end zone to beat Corey Trice, made it 14-7. Tucker gets a field goal, so it's a 10-point lead. But right before halftime, Boswell countered that with one of his own. Then the Steelers had some momentum. They tied the game. Nice drive. Cordero Patterson, 12-yard touchdown. However, again, coming right back are the Ravens. Mark Andrews, one of their big weapons. He has 9 touchdowns in his last 9 games, 24-17. And they weren't done. It was just a critical turn of events there that led to this touchdown by Marlon Humphrey. The Steelers had just picked off Lamar Jackson. A bad throw by Jackson, and Minkah Fitzpatrick got his first interception in a couple of years. But then an even worse pass by Wilson. Humphrey had an easy pick six, 31-17. Tucker added another field goal, 34-17, and that is your final score. Again, the key was Derrick Henry, who just had his way, 6.8 yards per carry. That guy's been terrific. And if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley, we might be talking about him as an MVP because the numbers are very similar there. But also, I think Jackson, he's had a wonderful year. Came into this season, 34 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. A lot of people looking at his numbers, and they are MVP worthy. Josh Allen likely has the lead in that department. But 3 more touchdowns. The 1 interception was something that typically he will do against the Steelers once in a while. Make a play that comes back to bite him. This one, it did not happen.
Yeah, I mean, he just led the receiver too far, and there was Minkah Fitzpatrick right there waiting to get it. And that was a big play because not only did the Steelers need that takeaway, but also that was Minkah's, I think, first takeaway in 2 years, Bob. So that was really something that people have been talking about. Is Minkah going to be a difference in the game? He was. Unfortunately, that was nullified with 2 plays later, the pick six to Marlon Humphreys. Really, it's the difficult thing because the Steelers defense did what they did, but the Steelers offense did what they typically don't do.
All right, let's talk about, as I go back on my notes here, it was a 96-yard drive. It was Jackson and Bateman, but this happened after the fumble. So Russell Wilson's going. He had an opportunity to slide. I think all of us upstairs, we're sitting there, right? Get down, get down. He didn't get down. He tried to go for it. And I understand that the goal line's there, and it was tempting.
Yeah.
But he already had first down yardage wrapped up. It would have been first and goal. But he took a hard hit by Washington, who's done this well pretty much over the last couple of games now, forcing balls loose. And once they lost that, I thought maybe the defense would stop them and give him, bail him out a little bit. Did not happen.
Did not happen. Listen, and that's the reality. I mean, Russell Wilson's not a running back, right? And so he's not used to getting hit like that and flipping over, doing a 360 and spinning in the air. And that's exactly what happened when the ball came out. And again, you're right, Bob. He should have taken a slide and lived to fight the next down. But his eyes got big when he saw that end zone, and he thought that he could cut back inside when Washington was coming around, maybe thinking he can pursue. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for the Steelers. But you're right. You hit on something, Bob. And the Steelers defense just doesn't do this. They don't get on the field after a turnover and give up a 96-yard drive. That's concerning to me because you got too many playmakers on that defense to allow this game to flip over like that and really be a 14-point turnaround that shouldn't have happened.
Well, they do have injuries, no question about it. I think Ogunjobi was missing a game like this. Deshaun Elliott's a guy missed.
Big one.
That, because he was out, allowed Minkah, or when he was in there, Minkah could do different things, stay back, and Elliott would do some of the work. Now, with KZ in there, I mean, things changed. Minkah was in position to make a couple of plays. He guessed wrong. It's funny. Right before the interception he made, he was blitzing up the middle. Henry and avoided him, and it turned out to be a huge gain, one of his big gains of the year. He had 7 runs over 10 yards today. And I don't know how many over 20 yards, but he was all over the place.
Yeah, quite a few, yeah. And what happened was on that long run that Derrick Henry had, what was it, about 44 yards. Really what happened was Minkah Fitzpatrick just kind of came short. He came underneath the block rather than staying front side and flowing as that 8th defender in the box. And that's what happens when you're short on the defense and you open up gap. You got a guy like Derrick Henry, he's lucky to then go to the house. And then, again, when that happens, you're thinking, okay, this thing out there going to go out and score is going to be a tough one. Minkah Fitzpatrick really did that, and he came back, and he deserves a lot of credit for making a play there after having that bad play on shorten that run.
Yeah, no question about that. And then, you look at the response after that. 19 yards, 25 yards, 14 yards, 17 yards, big play after big play resulting in a touchdown. Mike Tomlin ready to address the media.
Today, so I congratulate the Ravens on their performance and the victory. Really specifically, we didn't control the run game. We never did. And when you don't, man, you got to do some splash plays or win the turnover battle in a significant way, and we didn't do that either. We had opportunities of some balls on the ground that we didn't get, and then obviously we turned the ball over going in. It took 7 points off the board, and they had a pick six, and the rest is history, as they say. You got to control the run, the line of scrimmage. The turnover game is always significant in matchups like this, and we failed in both areas, and so when you do that, you should expect to lose. Had some injuries. Joey Porter had a knee injury. Don't have a lot of details there. He wasn't able to finish, and Ben Skoranek had a hip injury. He wasn't able to finish as well. I'm sure I'll meet with you guys tomorrow, and we'll have more details about some of that and more details regarding the game and what lies ahead. Questions?
Mike, that sequence there in the fourth quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, you guys went for it and flipped back and forth. Did they kind of change everything right there?
You know, I thought it was a little bit out of balance probably prior to that. As I mentioned, we never control the run game. And when you're not controlling the run game, man, you're not going to have a sense of comfort in terms of the flow of it, and that was the case.
Your team, your players have been saying this was a hat and t-shirt type of game. How much do you feel like this was a missed opportunity to win the division?
Man, anytime you don't win, it's a missed opportunity, certainly.
Jalen had, I think, double Najee snaps. Just how did you guys determine the distribution of running back snaps tonight?
You know, I don't micromanage those things, man. Our running back coach does a real good job with that. I'll probably have some more clarity for you tomorrow.
Because you think that during the first few series, having 3 and outs and maybe possibly this is possibly the fatigue, maybe start to wear on the defense. Not to use that as an excuse, but just
No.
Mike, where does Henry, where did he hurt you the most, on some of those zone cutbacks or what?
We just didn't do a good enough job. Gap integrity, tackling, fundamental things, man, they outperformed us in that area.
Mike, to that point, how much did not having the starting corners impact what you guys wanted?
That was irrelevant regarding the run game, certainly.
Mike, how concerning is it that missed tackles have been an issue for 2 weeks in a row, this fundamental thing?
It's concerning, certainly. We got to be better.
How do you fix that at this point in the season?
Back to the lab.
Coach, you had a chance to obviously win the division, but it's still in your control. Is that something that you tell the team, that we still have everything still in front of us?
We're singly focused on our next opportunity. Our business is winning. We get a next target. We focus our energies there. The big picture stuff takes care of itself. We got to win a football game.
Mike, how much did it feel like you guys lost the momentum after Russ's fumble there after the 20-yard run?
There's an ebb and flow of momentum in every game, and so it didn't feel like it was a lost cause at that point by any stretch.
Anyone else? Mike, you took a shot on fourth, I think it was 4th and long, took a shot downfield. Were you happy with the way the play worked, even though the execution didn't?
Yeah, we got the look we anticipated, man. We had a shot down the field. They made a play we didn't.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin following the game, short, to the point, and we await some player interviews. Rich Walsh is in the locker room with Ian Smith, our photographer, so we'll get those for you. But I want to go back to that play. Now, it's a one-score game. It's 24-17. Steelers still very much in this. It's 4th and 6, and it's basically at midfield. They elect to go for it, and they throw the ball down the middle of the field. Austin was open to me early, but the ball was in the air for a long time. I allowed Kyle Hamilton. Now, I thought that was significant. Right after that, Derrick Henry broke on 44 yards. You would have thought the same outcome as we saw with the 96-yard response drive after the Wilson fumble. Were you surprised they went for it?
Yeah, listen, Coach Tomlin's been pretty aggressive when it comes to those things. But, you know, it was a one-score game. The Steelers were down, and there's still a lot of game on the clock right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So I thought it was a little too aggressive, right? 4th and 5 right there at the plus 45-yard line, just inside the midfield. But they got what they wanted, right? They had Calvin Austin down the middle. Just the ball was thrown just a little too late. Kyle Hamilton was able to come over on the cover 2 as a steep safety. And really, if he would have thrown that ball a little bit earlier, Bob, that would have been a big chunk play for the Steelers and could have changed everything. But the question to me was, I think that was a little over-aggressive at that point in the game because it gave them great field position.
Once again, Mike Tomlin said Joey Porter Jr. had a knee injury. We'll find out the extent of that tomorrow, as Mike Tomlin's press conference will be tomorrow, and it'll be on KDKA Plus right here at noon. So don't miss that. Ben Skoranek had a hip injury. We'll get all the latest details. And then short week as the Chiefs come to town on Christmas Day. And have I told you? The game's on KDKA, so don't worry about that. We're going to take a break. Player interviews coming up, plus your phone calls. From M&T Bank Stadium, the Steelers lose 34-17 in a virtual tie with the Ravens, now 10-5, top the AFC North.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. We continue now a look at the standings, and these are updated, and you can see identical Steelers, Ravens, both 10-5, both 3-2 in the division. The difference is the Steelers in the AFC, which is the next tiebreaker, the conference record. They're 7-3. while the Ravens are 6-4. And to reiterate, you know what the Steelers have ahead. They got the Chiefs here on Christmas Day and then the Bengals in Pittsburgh, and that's a dangerous team. The Ravens have the Texans and then the Browns to finish out. So the Steelers have the advantage, Chris. They have to win both games. If they win both games, they win the division, get a home playoff game. That's what the goal has been, since midway point of the season.
And I think it's a taller task for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right, for the next 2 games. The Chiefs, number 1 team right now in the NFL, or really in the AFC. And then you have the Bengals, who could be in a playoff spot to really fight for that in the Week 18 game. So this could be a tough road for the Steelers. Then you have, I'd rather be going down to the Texans, Bob, going down playing in Houston, then playing against the Cleveland Browns, versus what the Steelers have.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. T.J. Watt made the game today. A lot of people thought he might not, given the injury, but he was a fast healer. He played in this game, and he spoke after the game today.
I mean, they were difficult. They made more plays overall. When the ball was on the ground, it didn't bounce our way, and 98-yard drives can't happen. I don't even know if we got off the field on 3rd down much tonight. I don't think we had any 3-and-outs tonight. Had a tough time.
TJ, they catch you off guard on that, not you personally, but the defense off guard on that first touchdown.
I mean, I just think we need to start faster, man. We got to tackle. We have to play gap sound. We have to rely on our brothers in the run defense. We have to just do things that make defenses good, and we didn't do that tonight.
You guys took a big hit on the secondary there. How do you kind of approach that, getting through this game and then into next week as well?
Just have to get better. We have to get the guys up to speed that are playing as quickly as possible. I think we have 4 days until our next game, so no time to sit around and pout.
I know you guys don't like to use excuses, TJ, but I mean, 4 starters on defense you're missing. I mean, how much does that hurt and how frustrating is that?
I mean, everybody's dealing with that stuff at this point of the season, so you can't really count on it.
We have some communication problems defensively today as
well? I'll have to look back at the film. I'm up front, so I don't really get to see what's going on in the back end, but I'm sure if there was, we'll get them corrected and get them corrected quickly.
You guys still have everything in front of you, though. I mean, you win these 2 games, you still win the division. Is that something that you guys are thinking about, maybe a consolation to something like this?
I mean, we need to watch the tape, get better, and like I said, we have a game in 4 days, so that's the focus.
Yeah, that is the focus, and it's against the Kansas City Chiefs, who won again today as they beat the Houston Texans. We'll see how that goes, but you look at this situation with this team now, missed tackles, where the Steelers take pride in trying to keep the play in front of them defensively, and when they do make tackles necessary, and in the beginning of the year, they were better in that. Last couple of games, not so much. They missed a ton of tackles in Philadelphia. Now, I know that's a good team, and so is this team. They missed 15, if I'm adding this up, 8 in the first half tackles. Yeah, that's a lot of missed tackles.
That's a lot. And listen, this Ravens came out in this game. They were going to attack the middle of the field when they were going to run the football. They knew that there was, Deshaun Elliott wasn't there, the 8th defender in the box. They knew that Larry Ogunjobi, one of their better run stuffers, was out of the game. And so they were going to attack Patrick Queen. They were going to attack Landon Roberts or Peyton Wilson, whoever was there in the middle of the linebackers. And they just kept coming, and they kept coming. And they did what they used to do when I played for the Steelers, Bob. You just kept running Jerome Bettis, and he was so big you'd wear down your offense and your defense really in the second half. That's exactly what Derrick Henry did. He broke his biggest runs in the second half, and that's when they really started to steal the grass of the Steelers.
Yeah, and he's something else. Not only is he big and he can go tackle to tackle, but when he turns it on to the outside, he wins a lot of those races. All right, the Steelers also were playing without Dante Jackson, another corner. And Joey Porter Jr. got injured in this game with a knee injury, Mike Tomlin called it. So that forced into duty James Pierre. Let's hear what he had to say after the game.
Sir, most definitely.
I feel like there was some communication on 2 of those touchdowns to the tight ends. What happened on that first one? They just kind of catch you off guard?
No, just communication, just everybody being on the same page. We just got to get back in the lab.
I know, how difficult is it when teams have to replace 4 guys? I know it's the next man up attitude, but you were missing 4 guys on defense, and then Joey goes out too.
Just got to all be like we on the strongest, like the weakest man of the pack. So you know how we just all got to be equal and be ready. Nothing. We just got to execute.
How tough?
All right, about their tight ends. I mean, they are big-time players. Mark Andrews, as I said, 9 touchdowns, I think, in his last 9 games, had 1 today, and so did Isaiah Likely. Let's talk about both of them. Because it looked like in the first one, Minkah Fitzpatrick maybe it was guilty of doing something or being in the wrong spot. Was he? And then the second one, Cam Sutton went in one direction, and KZ, that was wide open.
I believe all 3 touchdown passes by Lamar Jackson today wasn't because it was just so wonderful by Lamar Jackson. It was blown coverages by the Steelers. And you talk about the Isaiah Likely one, where Isaiah Likely, he first showed block, and then he came out, and Minka just played the run. And he did not pick up Isaiah Likely out of the backfield. And you could tell after the play by his reaction. He knew that was him. He was to pick up Isaiah Likely coming out into the flat. And then the other one, you talk about Mark Andrews, Bob. I mean, really, Mark Andrews, they had a crosser coming across the field, and Mark Andrews coming into the middle of the field and down the middle. And again, Cam Sutton ran with the crosser, and you could tell he was wrong because he came and he spun around and tried to get back to Mark Andrews. It was too late. Lamar Jackson found him right in the middle of the end zone. And those 2 touchdowns hurt the Steelers. They came at critical times.
All right. The other side of the coin is the Steelers got a touchdown from their tight end, not named Pat Freiermuth. It instead was Michael Pruitt.
Nice play.
And that was a nice play for sure to end a big, long drive for them. But again, Freiermuth, 3 targets. That's it for the rest for the day. And the reason I say that, I realize Baltimore is probably doing their best to take him out of it. Because quite frankly, without Pickens, he's probably the number 2 guy you want to look to. Was it more them, or was it the Steelers not going in his direction?
Oh, it's a little bit of both. But I think the Ravens, they look at it and say, okay, not a lot of playmakers on the offense right now without George Pickens out there. And Freiermuth's their guy who can can really hurt us over the middle of the field. Let's take him away. That's natural for a defense to do that. But I think they need to go to him more. Only 3 targets. I just think that over the last few weeks, he might have, 12 targets in the last 3 weeks. It's not enough for a kind of caliber of a tight end like Pat Freiermuth and the kind of money you're paying him. You got to force him the ball, not to where you're going to create turnovers, but try to put the ball in places for him to make plays down the middle of the field, and they're just not doing that right now.
Yeah, and it's funny how the bounce of the ball goes, because the Steelers in this game had forced a couple of fumbles. Highsmith, right off the bat early in this game, had a strip sack. The ball was on the ground. The Steelers did not recover. And then later, it was Desmond King on a punt return. Ball's on the loose, and they recovered as well. Those little things can be big when you think about it. It happened a little bit last weekend as well with Philly.
Absolutely. Listen, the ball's been bouncing the Steelers' way a lot, right? Plus 18 in the turnover ratio. And the old Coach LeBeau, the Hall of Fame coach, would always say, listen, at some point the ball is going to bounce away from you, or it's going to bounce towards you. If things aren't going well, the ball is going to bounce towards you at some point. Right now, the ball's bouncing away from the Steelers because those plays that they've made earlier in the year where they've been able to jump on those balls, they're not getting them right now. And so they've got to find ways to get stops, not letting people go on 6.5-minute drives late in the fourth quarter or 10.5-minute drives. They've got to get off the field on 3rd down rather than, with the turnovers aren't coming like they were.
All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, Russell Wilson, you can hear from him at the podium. More Steeler interviews on the way, and then later we take your phone calls. State of the Steelers with 2 games left, 10-5 record, same as the Ravens. We continue right after this on the Ford Extra Point.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. We take a look at the McClellans Contracting and Roofing final stats. You see those numbers there. The big one, rushing yards, was all about Derrick Henry. 220 on the day. They averaged 5.8 yards per rush. Russell Wilson, speaking of rush, we're going to go there now because he is speaking at the podium.
Right before I hit the ground, the ball came out. It's unacceptable. It can't happen.
You looking for one more block there?
Yeah, I was kind of cutting off the block, and just. I didn't want to slide there. Didn't want to slide there. I felt like we could get in the end zone. Trying to get a touchdown and go for it. They made a good play.
How tough was it to try to regain momentum after that play?
I thought we did a really good job of regaining the momentum. We kind of responded really well. We had a chance. Even late in the game, and the interception just hurt us. It's just really 2 negative plays. I think that we felt like I was seeing it well. I thought the guys made some really good plays. I thought. Guys were making great catches all night. I mean, Calvin, Pat, just different guys were catching the ball, making plays. I thought the run game was what did a good job. I thought O-line was battling. We knew it was going to be a tough fight throughout the end, and they made 2 plays on us that were significant plays. And unfortunately. I can't let that happen.
Can you that 5-play sequence to start fourth quarter? You guys get stopped, then they get the pick, and then they take it the other way.
Yeah.
Was that too much to overcome? Did that kind of change the whole thing?
Yeah, I think that definitely changed the game. When they got that interception. I thought defense did a good job of getting the ball back. I was trying to throw it to Pruitt in his front number. I felt like the ball just stayed inside, unfortunately. They made a play. The good thing about our football team is nobody, quit. We believed it the whole way through. And there's still a lot of football left. We got to respond in the right way. I got to do everything I can to lead us in the right way. I think we got a really great football team. We got a lot of good things. That's a good football team out there too. They did some good things, and and I thought that some of the plays the guys were making tonight were special. I mean, just when we fought, we fought. We left everything out there. That's for sure. Like I said, 2 negative plays, but I thought, CP's catch touchdown. I thought that Calvin's catch on the sideline, his 3rd down catch, over the middle. I thought there was a lot of special things that guys did. I thought Mike made some good catches, and the backs did a good job.
Russ, are you disappointed or concerned with the nice advantages you had? Is this a big cut to the standards?
Yeah, I think there's still football to be played, and listen, I think the reality is that we got to respond in the right way after this one. We felt like we battled through and we had a chance, and it didn't work out. But the reality is that we got a game come Wednesday that we got to get ready for, and we got to see what we can do better. I know what I can do better, that's for sure. And then there's a lot of good things that we did too, and so using those things that we did well and eliminating the things that we didn't.
Russ, as a leader, what do you say or do here over the next few days?
Just keep your head down and work. I don't think there's enough time to really play on Wednesday. I don't think there's enough time to really sulk or worry or fear. I think the best thing that we can do is come back to work and be ready to go. Like I said, I put that game on me, in the sense of, there was 2 great opportunities there. Obviously the going in the end zone, I was going for it. I'm not going to fear going for it. And sure enough, I got to watch it to see if I could have gone right or not. I tried to cut inside. I don't know, and then the interception was just a difficult play for us. So, the one thing I'm not going to do is keep my head down, though. I know for us, we got so much great confidence in who we are and what we can do and how we're going to respond. I think that's the only way. There's a lot of good things that we've been doing all year. We can't let a tough game like this, take us into a negative state of mind, because there's a lot more to play for and a lot more we're searching for, and we can still win the North. There's still a lot of opportunity there too as well, and so we just got to buckle down and get back to work.
Russ, you guys still control your own destiny in the sense that if you win the last 2 games, you'll win the division. What's the key to maximizing your opportunity?
I think first of all, not wavering on our belief. That's the first thing. I think that. I think the best thing that we have is high character guys that love the work, that love the process, that love each other, and we've demonstrated that throughout the whole season. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing to it is that just eliminating mistakes throughout, and I think that when we can do that, I call them game altering plays. There's always 2 or 3 that go your way, positively, and there's always also can be 2 or 3 that go negatively for you. So. Finding that, and I think that, I'm excited about the opportunity that we have in front of us. I'm excited about the guys that we have in the resolve that we have, and so, I'm grateful for that part of it.
Couple more here.
Russ, you talk about not wavering in your belief. How is your role to help that out?
Say that one more time.
You said you can't waver in your belief of what you guys have been doing. Your role as a veteran quarterback, how does that help, or how do you go on that moving forward to help some of the other guys?
I think the biggest thing is we want to be standing in the end, and it's not the end yet, and we got to respond the right way. This is a tough division. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of opportunity. We made some unbelievable plays today on offense and defense, I don't think there's any other way. I think we got to continue to trust the process, continue to trust that we're going to overcome it, and everything that we desire and we're working for is in front of us still, and that's good news, And so I think that's the mentality that we got to have.
So, Russ,
last one here.
How important is it to have the next 2 games at home? If you win the next 2 games, you'll actually have a playoff game at home as well.
Yeah, I think that we can't worry about the next 2. We just got to worry about, this next one coming up. We got play on Wednesday. It's going to be a great environment. Coming back home in front of our fans. Obviously, we've been on the road the past 2 weeks. To play in front of, our fans with the terrible towels and all that on Christmas Day is a special day, and it's going to be a great battle, and so the best thing we can do is keep our head up. The best thing we can do is understand that the best days are ahead. We really believe that in who we are, and a lot of that's because of our work ethic, and a lot of that is because of the belief of the guys that we have in the rooms. And so, I think that, like I said, I think that sometimes you go in games and you go in games and you shoot for it and it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think the best thing that we did today was we went for it. We had some great moments, like I said, and I think the best thing we can do is just look forward to playing in front of our fans, getting back home, and fighting for what we came here to do. And I think that opportunity is still in front of us.
All right. We have Cam here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Russell Wilson after the game. His day was 22 of 33, 217, 2 touchdowns, looked good, and decent rating, but what killed them was a fumble, right, as he was going in for what would have been a touchdown, and then the interception after that. But other than that, I know those are big, don't get me wrong, and they were game changers, both of them. But I think of that play where he had a 3rd down and 8, and he's running all over the place to keep the play alive, and he hits Ben Skoranek. That turned in. There were a lot of good plays by him, but you just simply cannot make those kinds of mistakes at critical moments and expect to win games on the road.
And there's no question he did that many times where he was able to manipulate the pocket, he was able to move around and avoid the rush. I mean, the Ravens were in the backfield a lot today. And we haven't talked about that yet, Bob, was the struggles of the offensive line, and Russ was able to gain time and be able to get the ball down the field, like you talked about the Skoranek. But those 2 turnovers that he had, that fumble and the interception, will eliminate all the good things he did, because those will be the things that everybody will point to and that will identify him in this game.
Yeah, and people were waging on social media which was worse. As I said, I think the worst one was the interception, only because it was a terrible throw and it led to an instant points. The fumble was critical because a long drive, promising drive, and then the response after that. The defense could have bailed him out, didn't do it. Right after Minkah Fitzpatrick makes an interception, you go right back and give it to them, and it turns out to be 6 points. It seemed to take the win completely out of their sails.
Well, there's no question. Listen, the first one was early in the game, and you had your defense on the field, and the Ravens, which shouldn't have happened, went 96 yards. You would have thought that never would have happened to the Steelers' defense. So that one didn't hurt them, but didn't hurt them as bad as a 1-score game right after the momentum shifter of Minkah intercepting that ball, and then 2 plays later throwing a pick 6. That took it from a 1-score game to a 2-score game with not a lot of time left in the 4th quarter, and put the game out of reach, because the Steelers were going to have a tough time scoring more than 2 touchdowns to win against the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, we're going to take you live to Baltimore. More post-game. Cam Hayward continues to play very well on that defensive line. I know there's some injuries there. He's speaking after the game.
Disappointed with the outcome today. As a defense, we did not stop the run. And when you do that, you can't really control the game. As a defense, there was too many missed tackles, errors, and that's just a combustion for not winning this game.
Cam, missed tackles happened last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to fix that at this point of the year?
Got to talk about it, coach it up, practice it. It's not a lot of time to practice, but, we have to own what we did. That's the only way you get better through this. Starts up front. I think D-line, we didn't get our job done today.
Cam, I was referring to where you were in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
The league you had.
I don't really pay attention to that. I'm just trying to win a game, week in and week out. That's the job. The last 2 have been tough. Haven't gotten the job done. But ball to be played.
You guys said this was a hat and t-shirt type of game where you had a chance to clinch the division.
Yeah.
How much of a lost opportunity?
We didn't take advantage of that. We talked about hat and t-shirt type of game, but just the recipe we had tonight was not conducive to winning this game. I talked about not stopping the run, not playing complementary football, not controlling sudden change. I thought a couple times we had, longer fields as a defense, and we didn't get off in time. And that just doesn't allow our team to play well.
As a veteran leader, what is your message to the group, especially going into the short week here?
Own it. More football to be played, but unless we own what we did, learn from what we did, it's going to continue to happen. We're going to play good teams week in and week out, and especially when you get to the playoffs, there's not a sorry team there. So, it's about guys being their gaps, guys making tackles, guys knowing their jobs and assignments. As a team, we have to learn from this. Two times today we had chances to get turnovers on special teams. We didn't get that. I know the offense struggled a little bit, a critical turnover, but it's a team game. This is a complementary game. When we're at our best, we are playing really good complementary football. And, that showing today did prove that.
Cam, how much are injuries impacting what you guys can do defensively?
I think injuries play a part, but, the guys that went in had played before, and I will never discount what they do. We just didn't get the job done. Guys step up in different ways. We came in here before and had guys step up in those ways, but we had enough guys to go. That's not the reason why we lost, but you tip your cap to them. They got the job done today.
Cam, where does Henry hurt you the most, on those cutbacks on the zone schemes, or what?
Once he gets going, and once he gets going, he goes north to south. It's hard to break him down. If there's a crease or a gap that's pretty wide, he's going to take advantage of that. And if he gets to the second level, I thought our DBs did a pretty good job of trying to get him down in instances, but from first quarter on, it felt like we never really got control of it.
Cam, you guys have given up, I think, at least 24 points in 3 of the last 4 games, uncharacteristic based on how you guys started. Maybe what's behind that? If offense is figured out something, if they figured out the right recipe?
I think the recipe is just, we're not getting off in time. 3 and outs are big for us. Turnovers are big for us. I think we had one that was critical with Minka, but we didn't have enough. We didn't make a lot of plays to make them one-dimensional. We didn't, create an atmosphere where it was tougher for Lamar. They played 4-minute football in the third quarter. And so when you do that, you don't really have control of the game.
All right, that's Cam Hayward after the game. Leading tacklers, Patrick Queen. He's been up top a lot, but 8 for the game. The way they were running, you would expect more than 8 from him. DeMonte KZ came up from the safety position with 7. Then it's Cam Hayward, Fitzpatrick, Trice. But, we talk about missed tackles, and he doubled down on it. He said that was the key in many of the situations. Whenever you have a third down play and let somebody escape, it normally leads to long drives, possession drives, and normally points.
That's the difference between a good third down percentage, and not. I mean, look right there. 3 of those 5 top tacklers are defensive backs, safeties, a corner, Corey Trice. Well, even though those come on some passes, but really, you want your top tacklers to be your inside linebackers. Where's Landon Roberts there? Where's Peyton Wilson? Where's your nose tackle, Keanu Benton? Those weren't like they were 8, 10, 12 tackles. I mean, the leading tackler had 8, and the other guys were in there the 4, 5, 6 range. So, I mean, today, Bob, they ran the ball 38 times for 220 yards at 5.8 a clip. And so I would have liked to have seen more tackles from your inside linebackers and from your down 3 guys, even Alex Highsmith or T.J. Watt. None of those guys are there, which concerns me a little bit.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about the offense. Jaylen Warren, Calvin Austin, they each made some plays today. We'll also look ahead to Christmas Day and what we have in store for you on KDKA. It's a big day of football, and certainly the Steelers need to win this game against the Kansas City Chiefs, you would think. We'll talk about it when we come back. We're right here on your neighborhood Ford Store Extra Point.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. We continue by looking at the AFC playoff picture, and you can tell that Kansas City has playoffs wrapped up. All these teams do with the X's That means you're in. LA and Denver still trying to get in, and they have a nice little gap over Indy, Miami, and Cincinnati, although the Bengals could, who knows, get in there so that last game of the year could be meaningful. Chris, the one thing I want to point out is while the Steelers do have the advantage, knowing that if they win both games, they're in. They play on Christmas Day before the Ravens do, which means if Kansas City should beat the Steelers that day, the Ravens then would sense an opportunity that they will control it.
Absolutely. And that's just how it's going to be, right? Because the Steelers are going to have the toughest game between the two. We've talked about this, you and I, off and on the air. I mean, I'd rather be going down to Houston and play the Texans than having the Kansas City Chiefs coming here and 14-1, and they're just the hottest team in the AFC right now, maybe the hottest team in the NFL. And Bob, we've talked about it. This three-game stretch, they're playing two of the five best teams in the AFC and arguably the best team in the NFC. It's a tough stretch. The schedulers didn't do the Steelers a favor here, but they've got to find a way to win this third game because they can't go 0-3 in the most challenging and the most important stretch of the season.
Well, we knew that coming in, and this would be a gauntlet at the end of the year, and it's proven to be that so far with Kansas City looming. Jaylen Warren was a busy guy today, 12 carries, 48 yards, but also he had 5 receptions on 5 targets, become a very effective guy out of that backfield. Let's hear what he had to say after the game.
Yeah, I mean, as a team, we don't like to lose, but yeah, this one, hits different.
How tough was it to try to regain momentum after the fumble there in the second quarter that it looked like you guys were about to be on the doorstep of the end zone and said it goes the other way for something?
We don't, stuff happens. We're a team that usually counter punches. We don't look at that as like any momentum loss. But, it just didn't go our way.
Why do you think you guys weren't able to counter punch today?
I don't know. I'm going to look at the film and see why.
Any consolation that you guys, if you went out, you could still win the division?
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I'm just focused on Kansas City.
How do you guys recapture the momentum against Kansas City? What do you have to do to kind of change the way things have been going?
Just play like how I know we play,
I know it's just attitude, but is it, how much does it hurt when you're missing 4 or 5 starters and something that goes out in a game like this?
We don't like to live like what ifs, the next man up is just as important, so we don't look at that. We don't focus on that.
That's Jaylen Warren after the game. You can see his numbers there. Again, the 5 receptions, 44 yards. And Chris, while he is very monotone with his interviews, it's the exact opposite when he gets out there. He is a spark plug. I tweeted that when I watch him run. Every time he does, he comes with an approach that I think has an infectious result on the rest of his team. He just gets it and goes, and he normally hits the right hole, and he's doing it at 100 miles an hour.
Well, he's electric. Listen, he brings a lot of energy to this offense, and that's what you want out of your number 2 running back, to come in and change the pace and electrify people. And you talked about 12 rushes, 48 yards, that 4.0 average. You want to hit that over that 4.0 threshold. But, Bob, let's talk about Najee. Najee, really, it was quiet. He had some nasty, angry runs in the second half. He ran the ball 9 carries for 42 yards at 4.7 a clip. So his average was better than Jaylen Warren. It just seems like Jaylen Warren brings a little more energy and kind of infuses a little more excitement, oomph into this.
I just would like to more at certain times. There's another thing.
The Ravens did it.
It's about warming you. I mean, that's at some point that's got to change. You can't fall behind good teams, especially. You might get away with it against somebody who's not that good, but against these kinds of teams, you fall behind, you're digging out. It's a tough thing to do.
It's a tough thing to do, especially on the road, right? You don't want to fall behind too far. And they were only down 7-0 compared to last week when they really got behind. But Coach Cowher used to always say, you got to start fast and finish strong in a half and in a game. So you got to start fast in that first quarter, especially when you go out on the road. You've got to have that first drive. You got to drive the ball and set a message, and then finish that half strong in the first half. And the same thing in the second half. The Steelers in this game, first drive in the first half, first drive in the second half, 3 and outs. Can't have it.
All right, now it's time to look at the Ford road ahead, and it's a bumpy one when you consider that the 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs will be here on Christmas Day. Again, afterwards, it's the Texans and the Ravens, same day, so they'll know the result of the Steeler game before they play. And then it's that nemesis Cincinnati passing game you got to deal with, and you never know what they're going to be able to do. Their defense has been terrible, and the Steelers took advantage of that, but they're capable of scoring a lot of points. We don't know the start of that one. And then playoffs, again, to be determined, but the Steelers are in. So we also have a busy Christmas Day for you, too. We have a lot of stuff going on. And again, I'll say it no Netflix, no problem. That's the mantra. Even though it's on there, we're going to have it for you locally. In Pittsburgh, you'll be able to see it. We'll start 11 a.m. on Christmas Day with Dawn of a Dynasty. If you've not seen that one, really good documentary. Inside the Huddle comes up at 11:30. That's live. Rich will be over there at Acrisure Stadium. Then we do our kickoff show, the BetMGM Steelers kickoff at noon for 45 minutes. Then we'll join the Netflix pregame show, 1 o'clock kickoff on KDKA. And then afterwards, Chris, you and I will be having Christmas dinner here maybe or whatever. We got the Extra Point and the Nightly Sports Call, 4 to 5. That's on KDKA next Wednesday.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day. Man, listen, big game. Couldn't ask for a better matchup between the Steelers and the Chiefs with a lot on the line.
By the way, they won today 27-19. Kansas City wins that game over the Texans. Mahomes, who I thought wasn't going to play with that high ankle, even though they said it was mild, he played 260 yards, 1 touchdown pass, 1 rushing touchdown. He rushed the ball very well, so he looks perfectly healthy to me. Coming up, we're going to take your phone calls. Let's get a state of the Steelers' health from your perspective. Where are they? What do you think they got to do to change things against Kansas City? That'll do it for our program here. Chris Hoke and I continue with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's coming up next right here on KDKA Plus following a 17-point loss at Baltimore.